Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody to this UBC certification and orientation. Actually, it's an orientation fitness evaluation, and it's the first online certification or fitness evaluation we've done. So be patient with us as we move through this. Guys, if you look at your screen, you'll see really which is the theory and the principle behind the whole UBC, and that is, folks, we're going on a journey. We'll carry out the wounded and shoot the dissenters. And basically what that means is we're going to be here to help you along the way. A lot of support. Again, if those of you who are training at a UBC center, you'll have active coaches in your classrooms or in your classes. And then those of you who are working out at home, we're going to be having daily input and support coming to you through Inside the UBC, which is going to talk about how to improve your techniques in your kickboxing, also on how to get the most out of your classes, but also some motivation to keep you pumped. Also, those of you who are joining us on the Facebook and making sure that you get involved in the Facebook group, that you're going to get that additional support through your coaches, online coaches, that will help give you all the information you're going to need to get the results you're looking for. So folks, we're going to carry you along the way, help you all along the way, but there are certain things we just cannot do for you. As I like to say, is I can't get your butt out of bed and I can't control the fork to your mouth. That's what we have to have from you. You have to make a commitment to yourself that this is a program that you're going to stick with. And I'll be honest with you, the newness of this program is going to probably wear off in the first about week and a half to 2 weeks. And, you're still going to be sore from 2 workouts ago. You're going to be kind of a little on the grouchy side. You're kicking the dog. You're yelling at the husband, and you just don't want to do this anymore. Well, you're just going to have to make the decision to stick with it. You get past that first 2.5 weeks, and I'll be honest with you, I think you're halfway through the course. Because once you get past that 2 to 2.5 weeks, when your body starts to get some of the positive results from exercise, not as sore. You just start feeling better about the program, and it's just a lot easier to finish. So the main thing is I want from everybody here online, and that is to make the commitment that you won't even think about stopping this course for at least 2 weeks into it. So that is the key. Give yourself 2 weeks, because once you start making the changes, you're not going to want to stop. Now let's talk about the structures and guidelines of the course and how we're going to move this program along with our UBC Orientation and Fitness Evaluation. Now, we're going to first talk about the structure and guidelines. We're going to talk about the resistance training, the nutrition, kickboxing, flexibility, your coaches, your contests, and the fitness evaluation itself. Yes, folks, we will be doing the fitness evaluation during this meeting. So I hope you have some clothes that you can work out in, or at least do some push-ups and some sit-ups. And I'll give you some information a little bit later on in preparation for doing some of the basic fitness evaluations that are required from this course. Now, the structures and guidelines of the UBC. Our goal in this course is having you participating in 3 kickboxing classes a week, 3 strength and conditioning classes, predominantly you want those classes every day. The classes should be 45 minutes to an hour in length, Monday through Saturday. So Monday kickboxing, Tuesday strength and conditioning, Wednesday kickboxing, Thursday strength and conditioning, Saturday kickboxing, Saturday or Friday kickboxing, Saturday strength and conditioning. Now that's the ultimate or the optimum way of doing this course. Now we all know sometimes challenges in life make it a little more challenging for us to do that. So as long as you're getting those 3 kickboxing classes and 3 strength and conditionings, if that means you have to double up because you missed the class the day before, then double up. Get those classes in Monday through Saturday. Because guys, to be honest with you, that I only consider there's only really 3 reasons not to train: illness, injury, or death, and death not having to be your own. Illness, guys, if you are sick and you've got a fever, really be honest with you, you shouldn't be working out. Your body's trying to fight off illness. By working out, you're actually weakening yourself and makes it harder for your body to recover from illness. So that's an excuse not to train. Injury, same thing. If you're hurt, you really want to consider not working out because you need to recover from your injury. Now, of course, what is an injury? If you have a sore left elbow, you still have 2 good strong legs and a good right arm that you can do majority of the workouts. So you got to be honest with yourself. if it's a knee or a lower back and you just can't do anything, then that's understandable. But if it's a matter of you, making an excuse because you think you're hurt and you're really not, that's something you have to deal with. You have to be a little bit tough on yourself. And I've said this many, many times before. The one thing that everybody who's ever gotten a good physical condition have in common is they have a certain amount of mental toughness. What does that mean? They're willing to deal with a little bit of pain, whether it's pushing yourself during the workout or working through some minor injuries. Now, as we talk about death not being your own, or not having to be your own. In other words, someone dies, a lot of times that's an excuse for not working out. So our goal is to stay within this UBC nutritional guidelines 6 days a week as well. So we're working out every day, we're watching our nutrition every day, and on Sunday is the day that we get rewarded for all our effort. That's our play day. You can eat and drink whatever you want. You don't have to work out. And there's a couple reasons for this. We're going to talk in a minute about strength and conditioning. You cannot gain lean muscle tissue on purely a calorie-restrictive diet. And that's important to understand. What do I mean by that? So many people out there, and ladies, I'm not trying to pick on you, but it's very common, just the way our society thinks, that as soon as you start thinking about losing weight or getting in shape, you mean to start thinking about starvation. Well, guys, our goal in this course is to gain lean muscle tissue, reduce body fat, not just lose weight. And you cannot gain lean muscle tissue on purely a calorie-restrictive diet. You need to let that sink in for a second. What does that mean? No matter how much we do in our classes to gain that lean muscle tissue, if we're always taking in less calories, we're not going to get any stronger. And the muscles are the engine that burns the calories. So we really want to build that lean muscle tissue. So at least once a week, which is Sunday, you can overconsume. You can, as long as you've been good, Monday through Saturday and you've trained every day, reward yourself a little bit. And it's actually good for the course. And another reason we have the play day, for some of you, the idea of not having a pizza or ice cream for 10 weeks, it's like, I'm out of here. So, as long as you wait till Sunday, you can pretty much do what you want. All right, let's talk about the resistance training and really how important it is about this when it comes to the UBC. It is such a key element. And, we talk about the UBC and why it has been so successful for so long, now in its 13th year. And it's because it really does give you all the elements that are required for you to get the results you're looking for. So many people, when they start working out, focus on only one element. They'll start running or just resistance training or just going to calorie-restrictive diet. We're going to be focusing on those 4 elements: resistance training, aerobic conditioning or kickboxing, and then, of course, good nutrition and flexibility. Those are the elements that's going to take to get the results, and resistance training is a key element. In fact, resistance training is the only exercise that pretty much everybody agrees that you need to do for the rest of your life. And as you get older, resistance training becomes even more and more important as we try to avoid osteoporosis and some of the other things that strength training can really help us with. All right, let's talk about the class, strength training in relationship to the UBC. The name of your class is called Strength and Conditioning class. You're going to be alternating between an upper body workout and a lower body workout utilizing strength tubing. Now, let's talk about this, and let's say you're working out or doing strength and conditioning Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, if you go to your manual and you look at your manual in the back of your book, and hopefully you have your student manual with you and you've opened the book, you'll see at the very back, the charts, you have a strength and conditioning charts to the right. And you'll see at the top is upper body, and then at the bottom is lower body. Now, if you look at upper body, look to the far left, and you'll see it broken into 5 body parts: chest, back, shoulder, triceps, biceps. And then the lower body is quadriceps, hamstrings, adductors, abductors, glutes, and abdominals. So now let's look at that upper body workout. And again, if you look at the chart, which now should be displayed on the screen, and hopefully you have it open in the same page in your book. I'm in week 6, but all the charts are the same. You'll see the exercises that are going to be performed. And again, the chest, you have 4 exercises, usually 3 to 4 exercises per body part. And then next to that is the color resistance. Y is for yellow, G is for green, R is for red, B is for blue, and P is for purple. And the darker the color, the harder it is. Then we're talking sets, 1, 2, 3, and then overall exertion. Now, when I get to overall exertion, we're going to talk about that in relationship to the kickboxing as well as the strength and conditioning, and kind of understanding where we're coming from when it comes to rating yourself. Now, let's use a bicep curl as a demonstration of what we're looking for. So let's say we're doing a bicep curl, and the first time you come to class or the first time you work out at home, you grab yourself, let's say, a red band, and you start doing a bicep curl, which means you come all the way up the long tube and all the way back down. Now, the instructor is going to count up to 8 and back down to 8 for one set of 16. And that's the first set, 16. And then without any break, they're going to go to double time. We also call that the ultra blast for another set of 16. And then you're going to take about a 5 to 10 second break and do one more final set of 16. So you've got that red band. You start off and you do that first set of 16. And man, that's a lot harder than you thought. And you barely got through that first set. All of a sudden, the instructor goes to the double time, and it's just too tough. You're not able to finish it. You basically quit halfway through it. And of course, you're not going to get any of the third set because it was just too tough. How does that relate to the course? Well, you got the first set, so you would circle the 1. And since you're utilizing the red band, you would circle the R. Now, how does that relate to the course as far as where I'm at? Well, to be honest with you, you're at too hard a band. If you can only get that first set or not physically capable of finishing and completing the second set, you need to go down in band. So the next time you come to class, you decide to grab the green band as opposed to the red. So you've circled the G, and now you've gotten the first set, and it's tough, but you're able to complete it. And then you go to the double time, which we're basically shortening the range of motion, isolating the muscle, which is really unique about the bands. That's one of the reasons I love the bands as opposed to weights. If we're doing a barbell curl, most likely you're going to start bringing in other body parts, your back, and do all sorts of things that can hurt you, as opposed to just isolating the muscle we're working. Or the bands, it just seems like we're able to lock into that muscle, and even though we're fatiguing to the point of maybe not even be able to move it anymore, we don't have a tendency to bring other muscle groups involved. That's a really fantastic aspect of the band training. So let's talk about this. You got the first set. You're able to complete that double time. And as long as you can keep moving the darn thing, that's completing it. Now you take a 5 to 10 second break and you go to the third set. Now the third set is a set you have to be most strict on. In other words, your goal, again, is go all the way down, all the way up. So you could, the instructor is going to, again, count 7, 8. And then from 8, they're going to count back from 8, 7. And all of a sudden you're hitting that 6 and 5, and you're not even be able to move the thing anymore. You're just holding it there. 3, 2, 1, and down. So, that very last set, maybe the first 8, you were able to get full range of motion, but as soon as the instructor started conking back, you were shortening up that range of motion, and even the last 2 or 3, you weren't even able to move it anymore, but you didn't quit. You worked isometric exercise. You just held it there to the very end. So how does that relate to the course? Well, guys, that's right where you want to be. You circled a 2, which means we got the first set, we got the second set, but we were not able to complete that third set full range of motion. So every time you train, your goal on every one of these exercises is to complete that third set. So that third set should go to failure. And again, failure just meaning that we're not able to, by utilizing and focusing on just that one muscle group, to move the band or to do it at full range of motion. Even if the last 4 or 5 are, 3/4 of the full range, it's still not full range. We went all the way down, all the way up before we then go up in band. So as long as you're circling that 2 and you're not able to finish that 3, you should be physically failing on that third set. And folks, again, that's right where you want to be. What makes the UBC so successful is the fact that we're tying in to the body's natural ability to adapt to stress. It's been like that since the caveman days. What doesn't kill you does make you stronger. And for most people who work out, it's not that they aim too high and miss, it's that they aim too low and hit. They think about, walking around the block for the form of exercise. It's just not enough. You're not pushing yourself enough. Well, with the UBC, we have a systematic approach to make sure that every exercise, every body part, that you're taking it to that failure level, and you're making sure you're asking your body to change, to adjust, to improve, because your goal is to get that third set. Now, that's what we're talking about. You work on that for a while and you're finally able to get that third set. What do? Well, you pat yourself on the back, but what do you have to do? You have to go up in band. So every time we're exercising, we're trying to make sure we're getting the most out of the exercise. And if you notice, the lower body workout is the exact same way when it comes to the program. It's the same chart, same everything. Now, one thing I will say about lunges or squats, I've seen this too many times where people, if you physically are challenged, in other words, you have knee injuries or something that does not allow you to go all the way down, like on a lunge, you should almost do a 90-degree bend in your leg when you do a lunge. If you can't do that, then it's understandable that you only go maybe a quarter of the way down or three-quarters of the way down. But if you do not have that challenge, you need to go all the way down, again, full range of motion, all the way up before you go up and bend. It's far more important that you're doing these leg exercises in particular, full range of motion and proper form, than that you decide that, okay, I've done, I'm going halfway down and halfway up, and now I'm going to go up and band because my ego says that I'd rather do a blue band than a red band. Nobody cares, folks. Nobody's watching. Everybody's worried about their own exercises. So you need to make sure that when you're doing that you're not worried about that either. So making sure that we've got that overall exertion monitored as well. Now, what does it mean when we talk about overall exertion? Overall exertion is rating your commitment to the workout, rating how hard today did you train. And when I say this and I go over this, I'm talking about the fitness class, kickboxing, and the strength and conditioning. And we always like to think you're going to rate yourself from a 1 to 10. Now, there are going to be times probably that you're not going to work out. And that's, of course, the days, the next day that you need to be doubling up. So if you know you're supposed to be working out and you don't, and you have a twinge of guilt for it, I'm going to give you a 1 on exertion just because you cared. Because that really is the key. If you don't care, we can't help you. But if you care, then you're still savable. So you get that twinge of guilt, I'll give you a 1 on exertion. Now, when I was training, especially when I was fighting competitively, my trainer always said, just walk in the door. If you turn around and go back out and get in a car, then, so be it. But the point is, he knew if I walked in the door, I was probably going to do something. I'll give the same thing to you. You walk in your gym, or you walk into your martial arts school, or you start to prepare to do your workout at home. I'll give you a 5 just for getting into class. And if you end up quitting, then, so be it. At least you made the effort. But most likely you're going to do something. So once you've gotten into class, once you started, you're at a 5, which means you're rating yourself from basically a 6 or a 7. What's a 6 or a 7? Well, we talked about earlier that illness and injury are really one of the 2 reasons that we can justify not working out. So if you're coming back from illness and you've gotten over the fever, but you're not 100%, you're just coming back. That's a 6 or a 7. You don't come back at a million miles an hour because you may get sick again or re-hurt yourself. So that's a 6 or 7. You're there. You're doing the best you can, but you just don't have a lot to give that particular day. Guys, also the days you just don't want to work out. I'll be honest with you. If you're the type of person who will only work out on the days they want to, I'm sorry, you're going to have trouble with fitness your whole life. Sometimes you just got to do it whether you like it or not. That is one of the reasons I created 45-minute classes as opposed to hour-long classes. I find it a lot easier to commit myself to 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week, than an hour a day, 6 days a week. So get in class, be committed, and don't give up on yourself is really a big element. So the days you just don't feel like doing it, but you get to class anyways, that's a 6 or a 7. You may not have had a lot in you. Sometimes I tell you, it's surprising. The days that I don't feel like working out the most, once I start, sometimes turns out to be the best workouts. It's very interesting how that can be. Now, what's an 8 in exertion? Well, an 8 in exertion is for those of you, we have such a wide variety of people that participate in UBC. I mean, honestly, one of my best testimonials that a guy was 5'5", 48 years old, 280 pounds. As he said in his testimonial, he was approaching the perfect shape, round. He's on a C-cap machine, couldn't get up from a seated position without having to grab onto something. I mean, he was in terrible shape, and he, in his first UBC, lost almost 50 pounds, did another one, lost another 20. I mean, the guy basically cured himself, got off the C-cap machine, had to probably put 10 years on his life. So if that guy can do the UBC, anybody can. Now, I've also had people that honestly have credited the UBC with taking time off their marathons. I've had people, one guy said that he did an Ironman because of what he was able to do through the UBC. So anybody can do this course. But if you have been relatively sedentary for the last month or so, or 2 months, or 3 months, or years, you can't come in there at a million miles an hour. The main thing is that you need to create the habit of exercise. So by creating the habit of exercise, that means you have to train every day. So if you come out and you go crazy a million miles an hour the very first time you work out and you can't get out of bed on Wednesday, then you've done yourself more harm than good. That's an 8. In other words, you hold a little back. You know, you go, I could go a little harder, but I want to save a little in the gas tank for tomorrow. And that's for those of you, again, who have not been working out consistently. Those of you who have been training a lot, let's go ahead and push ourselves. That's a 9. A 9 in exertion is giving it your all. So it's, you know, you've put everything you can into this course in that particular workout. You know, this is not getting sick. This is not getting lightheaded. This is you giving it your all. The hardest you could do on that particular day, and that is a 9 in exertion. So you're thinking, well, what the heck's a 10? Well, guys, again, as I said earlier, we usually just don't set our standards high enough in fitness. You know, your goal is to break through some serious barriers, physical limitations over the next 10 weeks. And there's going to be some breakthrough. There's going to be a day where you're working on that red band or that green band, and you're finally able to get that full range of motion all the way down, all the way up. There's going to be times where you get done with that kickboxing class and where usually the last minute or 30 seconds, you're ready to die. You're all of a sudden empowered. You feel great, and you just, you know, you just feel like you could go another 10 rounds. You know, those endorphins are going, and you're just flying. So that's a 10. They're special. I mean, they're not every workout. So if I look at your manual and, you know, it's 10, 10, 10, 10, then you're probably not taking this course serious enough. You're not going to get a whole lot of those, but throughout the course, you're going to have times you're going to have a very special day, special training session, and that's a 10, usually coming towards more the end of the course. So let's now move on to nutrition. Dun, 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 dun. So, guys, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to the UBC, we all have, whether it's UBC or any goal we're trying to set, we have what we call limiting steps, where, you know, 80% or 90% of achieving the goal, you know, you think I can do that. But there's usually that one element that go, wow, if I don't really focus 80% of my effort on, you know, I'm not going to achieve that goal. For many of us, it's going to be nutrition. Nutrition is such a huge element when it comes to trying to get your fitness results. Because, be honest with you folks, just the way our society is, it's just really hard, because majority of the time people talk about eating healthy, but 90% of the commercials you see on TV, probably 99, majority of the parties you go to, as much as people talk about health, they don't eat healthy. And the foods that constantly being put in front of you and marketed to you are usually crap. So we're going to talk about how to eat properly, not just for the UBC, but just understanding what is good foods. Now, we've given you a food chart of some of the foods we're going to try to have you eat over the next 10 weeks. And then we have some bad food choices, and we're going to talk about a point system a little bit. But those bad choices would be bad proteins. What does that mean? Fried chicken, chicken wings, things that had taken, breaded fish, something that was relatively healthy, but now it's been breaded and fried. Bad carbohydrates, potato chips, so things like that. Cream sauces, sugary dressings, those things that add unwanted and unnecessary calories to a salad that can be actually good for you. Fast food, very difficult to find anything at a fast food store or a restaurant that's healthy. They tried, I'll give them that. There was a time where Burger King's, and I think even McDonald's had a salad bar, but nobody ate the thing. Nobody went there to eat healthy. This country wants to, kill itself, so they're letting you. So be careful. Fast food, almost impossible to find healthy choices. And fried food in general, for at least Monday through Saturday, you need to be avoiding those foods. And we're going to talk about the point system in just a little bit. Now, this really is the essence of the nutritional advice and guidance that we're going to try to give you. Now, I'm going to give you a point system, but if you're the type of person that just knows you're not going to follow a point system, just do this. Avoid these products 6 out of 7 days. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it'll change your life. I'm 48 years old. I really didn't understand how to eat properly until a man by the name of Dr. Kenneth Kroll from Harvard Medical School. He's a retired surgeon from Harvard that then later in life went into anti-aging, really talked to me and made me understand how to eat properly. He just made it simple. And basically avoiding these foods. White flour, or now you'll hear it more commonly referred to as enriched flour. Now, what was white flour? And white flour is basically, back in the days when they couldn't store, the wheat without bugs and rodents and things getting to it, they basically stripped it of all its nutritional value. Because, creatures won't eat something that doesn't have any nutritional value. So they completely took something that has basically 150 nutrients in it and stripped it down to nothing. That's basically what white flour is. It has no nutritional value, and as most people will call it, empty calories. And then people started talking about this unhealthy flour that you should be eating. And so what they did, they created a term called enriched. And what that basically means is they've still taken that 150 nutrients out of the flour, whole grain wheat, and put 5 back in, so they can call it enriched. And like I said, I would, if I was you, you look at that word enriched, replace the word with crap, because for the most part, when you see the term enriched flour, even if it's enriched wheat flour, it's crappy flour, it's crappy food. You don't want to be eating it. Also, when it comes to sugar, sugar is probably the #1 derailer in this country as far as people being obese. As much, I remember through the 80s and 90s, it was all about avoiding fat and everything was fat free. Well, what they do is they just loaded it all up with sugar. And to be honest, point is that sugar turns to fat faster than fat does. When you put high sugar products in your body, it turns to energy immediately. And if you don't burn it off, it goes right to fat storage. And there is a direct relationship with the fact that the majority of the foods that sit on bags, boxes, and cans in our supermarket are inundated with high fructose corn syrup. And there's a lot of charts out there that show a direct relationship to the obesity of this country with the onset of high fructose corn syrup and the sugar that's put in these products. So guys, I can't emphasize enough, you've got to read your labels. And as Dr. Kroll told me, he thinks they should bulldoze everything in the middle of a supermarket, because you need to understand life sustains life. You need to be eating foods that spoil. And what's on the outer range of a supermarket but the fresh fruits, the fresh vegetables, the fresh dairy. These are the foods you need to be consuming, not the things that, again, can sit in a closet for days and weeks and months on end and still are the same. I mean, how many of us have a Snickers bar in our closet right now from last, Halloween? Open it up, looks exactly the same. And that's just not things you should be eating. That's not life-sustaining foods. You need to understand life sustains life. If it doesn't spoil in a relatively short period of time, it has things in it to make it so it doesn't, and those things are not good for you. White rice, again, you're taking something that has a tremendous amount of nutritional value, which is whole grain brown rice, one of the healthiest things you can put in your body, and basically have all the nutritional value bleached out of it, or there's nothing left but just simple starch, which again turns the energy real fast, has very little to no nutritional value, and is just not good for you, and it will make you fat. Hydrogenated oils. Now, people are starting to understand that how bad these are. In fact, New York is now banning them because of the health issues. These type of oils, do microscopic inflammations in your organs when you consume over long periods of time. And these type of oils you find on most cakes, cookies, creams, or what am I trying to say? Icings, that's it. And it's basically the oils that allow a cupcake to look the same at 9 p.m. as it does at 9 a.m. And probably the next day, cupcake looks the same. I mean, those are foods you just should not be eating. Now, of course, we have our play day, but if I was you, I'd really try to eliminate these foods pretty much for the rest of your life. Eating a pizza, if you took all the toppings off the pizza and put it on a slice of Ezekiel 49 bread, which is what I do, and Ezekiel 49 bread is probably some of the healthiest bread you can eat. It's flourless bread made with live sprouts, and it's basically how the Bible says bread should be made. Now, I'm not trying to be religious on you, but it's the idea of finding foods that really have the nutritional value that our body needs, as opposed to going the short route. And honestly, I have to admit, usually the worst food's the cheapest as well. I know it can be a little bit more expensive to try to eat healthy, but in the long run, it's going to be worth it. Corn, corn has definitely nutritional value, and if you don't have a weight problem and you're at a picnic and you have a piece of corn on the cob, that's not a big deal. But you need to watch out for corn laced products, or corn meal, or corn bread. These type of products, again, are very high glycemic, and there's a reason why the cattle industry feeds the majority of its cattle corn, because they can't find anything to put 100 pounds on a cattle faster. In fact, most of our cattle that go to slaughter are diabetic. So, unless you want to look like a cow, I'd really back off on eating a lot of corn products. High sugar fruits like bananas, melons, grapes. One of our great inside the UBCs that we're going to be sending you is by one of our nutritionists named Gay Poe. And Gay really, she does what they call a pyramid on fruit. And it's just fantastic. In other words, at the very top are the fruits you should be eating the least of. And that would be the bananas, melons, grapes. And I always say bananas. Now, of course, these have much more nutritional value than, I said, get a handful of grapes as opposed to a handful of M&Ms. There's no question. But the point is, these, again, are high glycemic. For those of you who are trying to lose 10 pounds or more, you're going to want to back off on these type of fruits. And again, I know a lot of you might be utilizing some of the nutritional products that we recommend, utilizing some protein shakes. With those type of products, what's the first thing we want to put in there? Bananas. And what happens is, as soon as you put the banana in there and you eat it, well, if you're not immediately going to work out, that banana can turn to stored fat rather quickly. And even if you do go work out, instead of your body burning the stored fat that you want, it's going to be burning that banana because it turns to energy almost immediately. You really want to try to stick with more complex carbohydrates. Again, Ezekiel 4:9 bread, whole grain rice. Carbohydrates that the body has to work to break down, slowing down the glycemic effect on your body and the release of insulin. Potatoes, the exact same thing. Potatoes, again, a high glycemic product. One that is, again, a nutritional value. You've got a starving country, send them potatoes. But if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to want to avoid those products. Alcohol, guys, a big derailer. Good news, bad news. Those of you who like red wine, you can have 1 glass of red wine a day. That's a 6 to 8 ounces, not the whole bottle, of course. Red wine is a unique thing. It's one of those, has a lot of health products. I mean, it has antioxidants in it. So like I said, it's like broccoli that gives you a buzz. It's actually somewhat good for you, and it's also low in sugar. Now, as far as the other foods out there, other alcohols out there, light beer, if you are going to drink beer, let's say you cannot stand the fact of having red wine, then you could probably get away with 1 light beer a day as long as you're eating a perfect diet. Again, we're going to talk about penalty points in a minute, referencing these type of things, but you'll see the difference between a light beer. The white wine is only -3 points. The regular beer, that's actually a mistake, and that should be 5 points. That regular beer should be 5 points, not 3. I apologize for that. Because there is a big difference between a light beer, which is basically under 100 calories and no more than 3 carbohydrates, and a regular beer can be up to almost 200 calories, or at least 150, is a huge difference. So one thing I will say, football season's here, hallelujah. But if you're going to drink beer on football Sunday, even if you're going to be consuming more than 1 beer, I highly recommend you try to stick with light beer. Because let's say you have 4 beers, you're getting away with almost 1 free beer with light, as opposed to, if you got 100 calories and you have 4 beers, well, that's 400. And if you have 4 regular beers, you're almost adding another beer, or you are adding another beer or 2 to that calorie count. So light beer, if you're going to drink more than 1, you definitely want to be consuming light beer. Now, nutritional chart. Let's talk about those of you who want to chart your progress, and I do highly recommend this chart because it really makes it easy to understand what's expected of you. Most people just don't have a whole understanding of what it is to eat healthy and what it is to, follow a good nutritional program. And this is an easy program to follow because we're not going to ask you to write down everything you eat. You're just going to make a mark. And one of the marks you're going to make is how many proteins you eat a day. You need to be eating 6. And again, that's a clean protein, not breaded, not fried. Carbohydrates, 6, and then vegetables, 2. Now, I want you to make a note. Those of you, in your UBC manual, you need to make a note. And that is, if you are trying to lose, or you feel you need to lose 10 pounds or more, I would combine those 6 carbs and those 2 vegetables and make it fruits and vegetables. In other words, we're going to try to avoid even a complex carbohydrate, at least a pasta. I mean, Ezekiel 4:9 bread should be fine. If you're going to have high grain or you're going to have brown rice, I would make sure the portions is really a smaller portion. And when do we talk about portion? We basically utilize the size of our hand or our palm, not piled up high, but just basically use a palm as a serving size. And if it, or you can make a fist. So if you are going to have that brown rice, any type of carbohydrate, you're going to really want to be careful on the portion size. Now, when I talk about fruits and vegetables, when I talk about fruit, I'm not talking about fruit juice. There's a huge difference between eating an orange, which has only the sugar of the one orange, but also has a fiber that slows down the processing of that sugar and all the nutrients that go along with that orange, as opposed to a glass of orange juice, which is basically just taking all the sugar out of 6 or 7 oranges and putting it in, a glass and eliminating the fiber that slows down the processing of that. Those of you who, are diabetic, or most of us know that if someone goes into some type of diabetic seizure, what's the first thing you do is you give them orange juice because it's almost pure sugar. And again, fruit juice, in the long run, of course, health-wise, there's a lot more nutritional value in fruit juice than there would be in a Coke, and of course. But the difference is, in the short term, your body doesn't know a whole lot of difference. The reaction is very similar as far as sugar in the short term. So again, if you're trying to lose 10 pounds or more, combine the carbs and vegetables. So you're eating 8 servings of fruits and vegetables. And then it's minus your penalty points. So let's talk about also nutrition as far as the water. When you talk about the nutritional program, when it comes to water, you need to have 8 to 10 servings of 8 to 10 ounces of water every day. And when I talk about water, I just cannot emphasize enough, folks, you've got to consume a lot of water. If you're not consuming water consistently, you're going to have days you're just going to feel like crap, and you're not going to know why. Because realize, not only do you need to consume water just for your daily existence, but now that you're working out, you're going to be sweating a lot of that water out. You need to replenish that. Another great, inside the UBC that Gabe Poe does is talks about water and how the body, if it's not getting enough, tries to draw it from different sources, including your colon and, just all sorts of things that kind of upsetting, to say the least. You need to find out what it is to drink enough water a day. So when you wake up in the morning, the very first thing you do is you have a glass of water before your coffee, before anything else that's liquid that dilutes the value of the water. So 8 to 10 servings of 8 to 10 ounces of water a day. Now, before we go on to kickboxing, I think I do want to talk a little bit more about the nutrition. Now, hold on just a second, guys. I am going to back you up a little bit. All right, I think here we go. There we go. Let's talk about the nutritional chart. Just a second. Let's go back to the nutritional chart. I think I left some out so you have a better understanding. Now, before I continue on this, I need you to make a commitment that you read your manual, because I don't want to spend 2 hours on this. And, if you're not willing to at least take the time to read that section, then you're not taking the course serious enough. But when we talk about the charting, so again, as we said earlier, 6 proteins a day, 6 carbohydrates, 2 vegetables, that comes to 14 points. You need to stay between 10 to 14 points a day. So if you are eating anything, good or bad, you get a point for that serving. So if you eat, a good protein, you get a point. You eat a good carbohydrate, you get a point. You eat a bad carbohydrate, you get a point, because you have to eat. As I talked about earlier, you have to consume calories to build that lean muscle tissue. Now, the thing is, you cannot consume more points, more foods to get additional points. You max out at 14. So if you are, Wednesday afternoon and you just have you got to have those McDonald's French fries and you pull in, of course, you only get the small bag. Well, you get your point for your carbohydrate, but guys, in your penalty points, you've got -5 points, as we talked about before, and it's in your manual. So basically, it's easy to understand. 5 from 14 is 9. I have to stay between 10 to 14 points a day. So can I have, fried food, McDonald's French fries Monday through Saturday? And the answer, of course, is no. So this particular nutritional program makes it kind of easy to understand that. We also want to make sure that we're spreading our foods and our meals throughout the day. We've got to get away from this feast and famine, gorging 2 or 3 times a day, and overeating because we're so hungry, and before the body can even tell us we're full, we've already taken in more calories than we should. To where you kind of graze, you eat, every 2 or 3 hours you have a little something. For some of us, this sounds like a lot of food. And and for the most part, as long as you keep it in small portion size and you spread it throughout the day with 5 to 6 meals a day, you're just not going to be hungry. And that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get to the point where the body is just satisfied. We're not focusing on food. You also may find that your temperament, Because those of you who have, your blood sugar changes, a lot of that has to do with, sometimes you have, plenty of food in you, then you don't have a lot, then you don't have enough, and then all of a sudden, you find yourself, just not feeling that good. So you might find not only does it help with your appetite, it may help with just, your emotional stability throughout the day if you really try to stay within it. So again, I want to come back to this only because I don't want you confused on the nutrition. But again, and that's not everything. You need to read the manual, and if worst case scenario, at least read the nutrition aspect of it, and then email your coach and ask them the questions that you may have. But first thing they're going to ask you is, did you read your manual? Because if you didn't read your manual, then in our opinion, you're not taking the course serious enough. And we honest with you, we want to focus on the ones who are. So if you're not willing to at least take that time to make sure that you understand it to the best of your ability, then ask questions, then you're going to have trouble having success. Again, we talked about the water, and now we're going to move on to what I consider the best part of this whole course, and that's kickboxing. And that's because I'm a former world kickboxing champion. And I just want to take a short moment. If you look down at the photo there with me hitting the mitt, that's me. Yes, believe it or not, a little bit younger version. I think I was 40 at the time. And the guy holding that mitt is a guy named Joe Louis. And Joe Louis is considered the founding father of American kickboxing. He was a student of Bruce Lee's. Chuck Norris called him the greatest American martial artist of the 20th century. I mean, there's a ton of accolades that go to this man. He's, again, Joe Louis, Lewis. And I'm just mentioning this because he recently passed. He's a great friend of mine, a great mentor of mine. And to be honest with you, this course would not have happened if it wasn't for Joe Louis. Joe Louis truly taught me in the early days. Not only did he make me a world kickboxing champion, but he got me to think out of the box, to think beyond just what I've seen or what I was taught. So I just want to take this moment to acknowledge him. He truly, truly was a brilliant man. Again, look up Joe Louis, Lewis, and you'll be surprised and understand where a lot of the concepts and philosophies come from. Now, let's continue on with the kickboxing. Now, in your manual, again, you're going to have a kickboxing chart, and in that kickboxing chart, it's going to say kickboxing. For those of you who may be doing the boxing class, we have a UBC boxing class. We have a UBC cardio karate or cardio class. And again, that doesn't have to always be kickboxing. You go do an aerobics class, that would be cardio. And then if you do other type of class or other type of aerobic conditioning, because basically that's what this is. It's the aerobic portion of the program. And if you'll notice, those of you who are doing the UBC kickboxing classes, if I was going to train you for a fight like I used to do, we'd go 3 minutes on with a minute rest. Well, I'm trying to get you to burn maximum amount of calories. So this is the reason we go to almost 28 to 30 straight minutes in the heavy bag. Just like if you went on a 2-mile walk or 2-mile run, we try to hit that target heart rate over an extended period of time. And yes, it's intervals where you kind of go a little harder, then you come down and go a little easier. But that's why it really does burn maximum amount of calories. So in your chart, your goal is to write down how long your workout was, and then also you are going to rate the exertion. Again, we talked about that earlier. The exertion being 1 to 10, understanding a review of the exertion. 1 in exertion, feeling guilty about not working out when you know you should. 5 in exertion is just walking through the door. 6 or 7 exertion, recovery from illness or injury. 8 exertion is saving a little energy for next day's workout. Good for participants that are beginning the course, not in the best shape. 9 in exertion is giving it your all, but not getting sick or lightheaded. And 10 exertion is setting a personal best. Again, most people don't aim too high and miss. They aim too low and hit. And I'm touching on this twice in this orientation because it is essential. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough about being in the moment. And what I mean by being in the moment is so many times we work out. I mean, you look at gyms, what do they have in front of what treadmills? A TV. In other words, they're trying to take your mind off your exercise. Well, I look at it the exact opposite. Another reason why these classes are only 45 minutes. I want you to be in the moment. Health will become one of the most important things or the most important thing in your life at some time in your life. Make it now. Take control of it yourself. And in the 45 minutes that you're exercising, focus on what you're trying to achieve in that workout. That's another reason we have the charts and we have the manual. It's no different that you were going to a local college or you were taking a course in a computer or whatever. Most likely you were going to get a workbook, and a person who does the best and fills out the workbook from A to Z is going to get a what at the end? An A. And the person that threw the workbook in their closet and never looked at it again is going to get a what? F or a D. Well, What's your A is how you look like and feel at the end of this course. And a big part of that is the fact that that workbook becomes your daily chart. So you go to the workout and you look and see how you did last time. And during the stretches, you're mentally kind of thinking about what am I going to achieve during this workout. And then at the end, we're not even talking 30 seconds here. How long does it take to write down how you felt? 30 seconds of reflection, just a reflection. What does this make you do? Well, you think, well, I already know that, or I've been doing that. Guys, it makes you reflect. It makes you stay in the moment. It makes you think about what you achieved in that training session. That is the key to the success or failure when it comes to this UBC, that you are engaged, mentally engaged. And we talked about the kickboxing. I can't emphasize enough. Learn the techniques, improve upon the techniques, work on making your side kick better, work on making your punches better. We're going to be sending you all sorts of things through the web that's going to talk about those things. And we go over you see a short little video on how to throw your punches properly. Next time you go to class, focus on that. I guarantee you one thing, that class is going to go a lot faster. And at the same time, you're mentally engaged in your workout. All right, now we're going to move on to our fitness evaluations. Now, in your fitness evaluations, guys, again, for those of you who are going to do those at home with me right now, I need you to clear an area. I need to make sure that you maybe, stretching your shoulders out a little bit, maybe starting to do some jumping jacks. I'm going to give you about a minute here. Jumping jacks for a minute kind of gets the body warmed up for it, because in our fitness evaluations, we're going to be doing upper body starting off with. So you can listen to me while you do your jumping jacks. You're going to do push-ups for 1 minute. How many push-ups can you do in 1 minute? And then the abdominal strength is going to be how many sit-ups you can do with 1 minute. So if you got a partner, you have one person hold their feet and you're going to do the push sit-ups, and then they'll do it. And if you don't have a partner, put your feet under a couch. Do something, find a way to do it. Flexibility is going to be hamstring stretch. You're going to need a ruler. So hopefully you have a ruler. If not, you can do this at some other time, but we're going to go through how to do it. Now, the cardiovascular aspect of it, it's going to be a mile walk or 1.5 mile walk or run. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that for you, okay? For one thing, most of you guys probably listening to it at night, might be too dark outside to do it. So it's up to you. You need to find a good, safe course. And again, if you are just walking, not walking at all, or excuse me, not running at all, in other words, you have some injury that doesn't allow you to run, or you're 110 years old, if you're just walking, you need to find a safe 1 mile course to time yourself. And then those of you who are going to do any running at all, even if you can only run a very little, maybe you run, walk, or run the whole thing, you're going to do 1.5 miles or 1.5 miles. And this is only because the charts that we're utilizing out of the Cooper's Institute are set up this way, okay? So make sure that you have a good, safe distance and something that you can chart yourself with. All right, we're also going to weigh you in, and we're going to talk about how to do your before photo. Okay, let's talk about the upper body fitness test. Now, first of all, those of you, ladies, you have choices. One is you can do a modified. And if you're doing a modified push-up, that means your knees are on the ground, but only your knees. When you do this push-up, make sure you don't what they call roll your quadriceps. In other words, you don't want your thighs hitting at the same time. Also, you want to make sure that your hips are down. Don't have your hips, also known as your butt, in line with your knees. You need to have them in front of you so the weight of your hips are in the push-up, because that's where the majority of our weight is. So, again, modified, make sure the hips are down. And then full body. Ladies, you can also do a full body push-up. Guys, you have to do a full body push-up. You must go all the way down and all the way up. I highly recommend you put something down like a sponge or something that's no more than maybe 4 to 6 inches in height that you can go down and touch your chest to. Because honestly, what should touch the ground first is your chest, not your forehead. A lot of people keep their head too far down. Again, you got to go all the way down, you come all the way up, and you got to lock your elbows. You can only rest in the up position on both of them. And be honest with you guys, once you can't do anymore, you can rest for a little bit in the up position, but once you put your knees down or you stop, you're done. It's really how many you can do for 1 minute nonstop. And guys, be honest with yourself. You're only cheating yourself. Be honest with what you are capable of doing, because we're going to be setting 5-week goals for you, 10-week goals, and we want those to be honest goals, because honestly, that's the only way you're going to know if you've got the results you're looking for. All right, now we're about to start. I'm going to put this together for those of you who are going to do this at home. I'm going to need you to get yourself in position. I'm going to give you just a little bit of time here. Let me get my timer together. So you are ready to go, and I'll count you off. All right, guys, get in position for your push-ups. Position, 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 begin. 1 minute push-ups. All right, do the best you can. Stay focused. All the way down, all the way up. Now, for those of you who can't do one push-up, hey, don't feel bad. You're not the only ones. We've had many go from none to 30 at the end of this course. Just do the best you can and be honest with yourself. Keep going. 30 seconds. Come on, keep moving. Excellent. 10 seconds. Stop. Excellent. Very well done. All right, guys, good job. Okay, now let's move on to sit-ups. Abdominal fitness test. All right, guys, when you're doing your sit-ups, you need to lay on your back, knees bent. Hands have to stay by your ears. I don't recommend you grab your head or pull on your neck. You want to make sure you sit all the way up and touch your elbows to your knees. You come back down again. The middle of your back must touch the floor. Don't lift your hips up to help. In other words, don't use that momentum of pulling your hips up to try to get more momentum to get through the sit-ups. You can only rest in the up position. If you do so, do not grab your knees. All right, guys, we're going to get ready for our sit-ups. All right, again, put your feet underneath the couch. Whatever you have to do to stabilize those feet. Lay back, knees are bent. You're going to go elbows to knees. Position, 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 begin. All right, keep working. All the way down, all the way up. Make sure that middle of the back's touching. You got to keep those hands by your ears. Again, do as many as you can. If you can't do one, well, realize it's the fitness level we're going to say goodbye to. 30 seconds. Ten seconds. Come on, push yourself. You can do this. Stop. All right, very well done. All right, now make sure you mark your books. Upper body, the push-ups goes in upper body strength. Abdominal strength is going to be in your sit-ups will go to your abdominal test. And again, you want to write down current score. Your first number, how many you did is in current score. And this is on the Fitness Evaluation 1 in your manual. And give me 2 seconds and I'll tell you what pages that's on. And that is going to be on page 50. All right, guys, flexibility test. Again, you're going to need a ruler for this. And you want to sit on the ground without shoes on, legs locked, one shoulder width apart. In other words, you extend your legs out. You're sitting down with your legs locked out, one shoulder width apart. You have the 15-inch mark is at the end of your foot, like right by your heel. And at the end with the 1-inch mark going towards you. In other words, around your, the 15-inch and the 1, the beginning of the ruler is coming towards you. So reaching back probably, towards your knees. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to reach up as high as you can, take a deep breath in, reach out and try to touch as far down on the ruler as you can. You get 3 shots at it and record your best score. And again, you on your fitness evaluation page, that would be on the flexibility current score. All right, excellent. Now, before and after photos. Let's talk about getting these done. If you get out of UBC Center, then of course, most likely you're having that done for you or with one of your, with the instructors and the person who's running your UBC. The least amount of clothing you wear without being indecent is the best to show change, guys. I can't tell you how many people I've known that have had such great results. We're too shy in the beginning to show anything, and at the end, we just really couldn't see enough change. Also, you want to make sure you take front and side shots head to toe. We need to see as much as possible. Now, the photo you see here has been slightly cropped. That was a head to toe shot. We just cropped it a little bit. If you are a home study student, you must have that day newspaper in hand for both before and after photos to confirm it was done in proper time frame. So in other words, we need to have something that confirms it. Now, if you notice again on the photo that's on the page, this is from one of our UBC centers. So it's confirmed by the school itself, the studio itself. We don't need the confirmation. But if you don't have that, you don't belong to one of the centers, you're at home study, you need to make sure you're holding something that provides proof that the dates are right. And again, be similar in clothing. Again, you look at the before and after next to you, or in the photo. I mean, it's not the same bathing suit, but it's close enough to where it really gives us a good change. In fact, this is a national contest winner. Just a wonderful before and after. And then you're going to want to email both sets of photos at the end of the course. Don't worry about doing it at the beginning. Wait to the end, and then email them both. Do not mail it directly or snail mail it. In this modern age, guys, we just want everything electronically, so we can download it and we can do what we need to do with it. Now, the cardio test, let's talk about that. When you do decide to do this, I'm not recommending you do this now. If you're only walking, you will walk 1 mile. If you are walking or running, you must do 1.5 miles. And again, make sure you map out a safe, uninterrupted course. Make sure you understand that stoplights can really wreck your time. So you're trying to find something that's unimpeded. Setting goals. Now we're going to set the goals for you. We will have your goals set for you by UBC coaches, and we're utilizing the Cooper chart. So what you want to do is you want to send your results through Facebook. Now everybody that's in the UBC, most likely if you're online with us, you've already registered with the course on the UBC website, and also you've joined the Facebook group for this UBC. So if you haven't done that, you need to, guys. That's how we do our coaches. And if you don't do both these things, you're not going to be eligible to win the contest. We need to be able to keep track of everyone. Now, when you send your goals to us through Facebook, you can do this either publicly. In other words, you can just send it, so everyone can see it. Or, of course, we have private message. So if you don't want everybody to know your stats, that's fine. No problem with this. Just send it to us privately. And to make sure when you do this, you include just vital information. We need to know your name. We need to know how old you are, because all these charts are based on age and gender. Again, your gender, and then how many you did. So an example here, how to do it and how to do it properly. And do that for every one of your categories. Sandy Brown, age 42, female, modified sit-ups 12. Sandy Brown, age 42, female, full body push-ups 2. I mean, those type of things. The coach will calculate your individual goals and message you back either publicly or privately with your goals. Now, the goals that we're going to be setting, we'll be setting for the mid-evaluation 5 weeks from today. Now, let's talk about the contest itself. We got $500 up for grabs. And just don't cut yourself short, guys. We've had so many people that, have won these prizes in the past that you just never thought they could, and just stayed focused. And it's really, it's based predominantly on where you started and where you came from. So don't think you can't just because you haven't been fit in the past, or you don't think in 10 weeks that you can be a bathing beauty. It doesn't matter. We've had so many people that have just gotten such great results, and we want to give you an opportunity. Now, we must have at least 50 participants to qualify for the full 500. If contest does not qualify, then we'll be based on $10 per person. And right now, I think we're close to 30. I think we're going to take, we always were 1 week within start date. So it's going to be pretty close to that 500. And 80% of the contest is going to be based on the before and afters. But this is one thing unique and new about this contest. 20% of the contest is going to be based on either a written essay, which basically you write us and tell us about your UB experience, or better yet, and which we would prefer, and that would be a YouTube video between 1 to 2 minutes expressing and demonstrating your UBC experience. In other words, hi, I'm Sandy, and I've lost 10 pounds, and this is how I did it, and maybe show hitting a heavy bag or doing some push-ups or something, just promoting yourself and letting people get a chance to know you. And again, there's really no boundaries, when it comes to this video. I mean, to be honest with you, if you do it naked, we're not going to be able to use it. But other than that, we're looking for some unique videos that express how you feel and what you achieved in the UBC. So that's kind of how the contest is going to go now. 80% set before and after, but we're going to want to see some videos and some written essays. You must send in before and after photos and written essays or video within 1 week of your final to qualify. We've got to get all that stuff in. And again, all that stuff should be sent to us electronically. When it comes to YouTube, just give us a link. We don't want anything in the mail as far as a snail mail. We want everything done through email. And the finalists before and after and videos will be displayed on UBC website and will be publicly voted on to find the winner. In other words, we have a small group of judges here that are going to just weed it out. In other words, we're going to come down to what we consider top 4 or 5, and then we're going to put them on the website and let you decide. And I think that's kind of neat. You get a chance to see the before and after, but also with the 1 or 2 minute videos, you get a kind of chance to get to know the person. And then anybody can vote, and we're going to take it right off the website so you'll know who won, who didn't, and we'll have a certain time frame. And again, as we get closer to that, we'll give you more information on how that's going to work. All right, guys, this is Jim Graydon. I hope you enjoyed this orientation fitness evaluation. This is the debut, and to be honest with you, I've already found some things that I plan on changing for next time. So, one thing about the UBC, 10 weeks is not the end. Fitness is not a 10-week sprint; it's a lifetime journey. So, as we develop the UBC and as we develop continuous training after the initial 10-week course, we're looking for you to be a UBC participant, not just in the short term, but in the long term. And again, my name is Jim Graydon. I really hope you enjoyed this orientation, evaluation, and good luck to everybody. And anything we can do to help us or help you achieve your goals in the UBC, please just let us know. Again, thank you all and take care. Bye.